And staff and City Clerk, are we ready for the roll?
Mayor Cernanek.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Beckman.
Here.
Councilmember Brinkman.
Here.
Councilmember Cole.
Here.
Councilmember Hopping.
Here.
Councilmember Stallman.
Here.
Councilmember Valdez.
Present. Sorry.
Thank you all. Could you please rise? And we will do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sync that.
Council, we have the posted agenda for this evening. Any comments? Seeing none with that, note that the posted agenda does not have any consent agenda items or general business, so we're suspending the first public comment section, and we'll move on to the ordinances, which is Section 6 of our agenda for this evening. First up is Ordinance 102-2015, and my understanding is Senior Planner Andrea Mimwa will start with the staff report. Andrea?
Good evening. I'm Andrea Mimno with the planning staff. This item is an ordinance to approve a rezoning and a general plan development plan for a 4.6 acre site called Angelo's Taverna. The site is located on the west side of Santa Fe Drive, south of the Breckenridge Brewery, and north of the residential neighborhood Woolhurst Landing. The South Platte River and the Mary Carter Greenway are located approximately 800 feet to the west of the property. The property is within the Santa Fe Corridor Plan of the comp plan that was adopted by council a number of years ago, and that plan planned for the redevelopment of the area between Santa Fe and the river from what was then low-density residential and industrial to more commercial and light industrial uses. The proposed zoning would change the zoning of this site from RS to PDC, which is Planned Development Commercial. Angelo's Taverna is the name of the overall general plan development plan, and it actually includes a proposal for 2 sites. And you can see each of those on the plan here. There's a restaurant plan for the site that would be closest to Santa Fe Drive, and a potential office use that will be located at the back of the site down towards the river. You can see on this plan that the site is immediately adjacent to the business Designs by Sundown. This is the landscape business that's been on Santa Fe some time. Its border is on both the north and the west. And you may recall that during the planning process for Designs by Sundown and Breckenridge Brewery, that there were some accommodations made for access to this site so that there wouldn't yet be another need for another full movement access point onto Santa Fe Drive. There was a development agreement that spelled out 2 locations where the access would be provided, and you can see those locations that are shown in pink, those 2 areas shown in pink on this map, one at the northwest corner, one up at the northeast corner. This is from the illustrative plan that's part of the application. And you can see clearer here now how the 2 properties are set forth, one for the restaurant, one for the office use. A parking field is provided for each of the uses, and with a potential for sharing of the uses due to the different peak hours of restaurant and office uses. Generous setbacks are provided with this plan. There is a 100-foot buffer setback as part of the Santa Fe Plan Corridor design guidelines. That's a 100-foot setback from Santa Fe that would be landscaped. There's also a 50-foot landscape or partially landscaped buffer and partially parking lot from the south property line, and that would help buffer the impacts of commercial development on the residential subdivision to the south Walhurst Landing. The PD plan encourages a connection to the Mary Carter Greenway, and staff and the applicant will be working to figure out how this configuration will actually work in the next step in this process, should it be approved. That will be during the site development plan, and staff and the applicant will work with Designs by Sundown and South Suburban to figure the configuration. The property slopes from Santa Fe Drive down to the west towards the river, and storm drainage would be handled by utilizing that slope, draining down towards the river. There would also be water quality facility required on the site, and that will be determined during the site development plan process. A traffic study was submitted with the application, and it estimates an additional 988 trips entering and exiting the site each day. The study concludes that the project will be successfully incorporated into the existing and future roadway network. And finally, the PD plan calls for rural vernacular architecture for all structures on the property, and the plan has design standards to go along with it to ensure that that style is achieved. This is a map, again, of access to the site. I touched on it earlier, and this depicts how it would actually occur. There were two access areas, and currently the applicant would make use of that access point at the northwest corner. That is the access point that applicant has worked out with Designs by Sundown at this point. Cars would enter the site starting at Santa Fe and Brewery Lane, at that intersection, and cars would make their way down through Breckenridge Brewery property, through Designs by Sundown, and enter the property. There is an emergency access only point that it was located down at the southeast corner, and that would be the second means of access. But in terms of customers and employees, they would all utilize what's shown in the red line on this plan. One of the advantages of this plan is that when customers and employees leave, they can access the signalized intersection at Brewery Lane and Santa Fe, making northbound turn or southbound turn onto Santa Fe. The application meets numerous goals and policies of the comp plan, including the following. The development will generate more opportunities for residents to live, shop, and play where they work, and to work, shop, and play where they live. The development will be an example of high-quality design and architecture as required by the plan's design guidelines. And the development will preserve natural features by utilizing a moderate intensity development, and will work to preserve mature trees on site through the site development process. Staff recommends approval of the application, and there is an ordinance in your packet that reflects approval, and I'll be available for any questions.
Okay. Council, any questions?
I do.
Jerry?
And do you have a notarized statement from the property owner that they have no objections?
Yes, I do. They signed the application form.
You have the statement that says, is that what it says, the application? Because when I look at the application, it says it's a separate item.
Yes, at the beginning of the process, the IDA property owner had signed it. I believe at this point the applicant confirmed that he owns the property at this point.
That is correct. Okay, they can do that when they come up. Thanks, appreciate it.
Okay. Any other questions from council?
Andrew,
Councilmember
we
Hopping.
had in our packets some illustrations of the architecture. Do you have those on your laptop so that people could see what rural vernacular is?
Unfortunately, I don't.
Okay.
Rural vernacular also has another term, the New West architecture, and we see it up and down Santa Fe Drive. The Breckenridge Brewery is a good example. Aspen Grove Shopping Center is another example.
Okay, and if I could paraphrase this, if anybody disagrees, I think it struck me that it looks very similar to Breckenridge Brewery in terms of the scale and the roof shapes and such that bring it in. Parking. Breckenridge Brewery appears to be underparked. And a lot of that, I think, is because of the phenomenal success they've had and the outdoor dining. They opened in May, I believe. So it's all been outdoor dining, and so the crowds have been spectacular for them, which is great. But we don't want to underpark this one. And it's my understanding that we don't really define parking until the final gross floor area is determined on final design or final approval from staff. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So the parking requirement in our code is 1 space per 75 gross square feet. And so once the actual building has been determined in terms of its square footage, the parking requirement will be determined.
Okay, and then it's somewhat less for office, correct?
Office space is, I believe, 1 to 250. So it's
Okay.
1 space for 250 gross square feet.
Right, and then when you were talking about the shared parking, the office has more demand in the daytime and the restaurant theoretically at night, so that's factored in. Is there a code for that, or is that a judgment call, or how's that work?
It can be handled one of two ways. Each lot can meet their own parking requirement per the code. The code also permits sharing between adjacent properties.
Okay.
And so I did a quick calculation, and at least on the illustrative plan, what we're showing is 67 parking spaces for the restaurant lot, and that would result in a maximum building square footage of 5,025 square feet. On the rear property where the future office would go, there are 78 spaces planned for that on the illustrative plan, and that results in a maximum of 5,850 square feet. So there could be a potential for the restaurant, at least as shown in the illustrative plan, to be as much as about 10,000 square feet if there's complete sharing between the two uses.
Okay. So I assume staff will be all over this because that's such a cool development we have going with Breck Brewery and this that we need to make sure that people can get there. So, but thank you. This is great.
Okay. Additional questions, Council?
I have a question.
Councilmember Brinkman?
Could you put the drawing you had of the access?
Yes.
Okay, so that is the only in-out off of Santa Fe?
Well, there is a second access. You can see it at the southeast corner of the site, and that's for emergency only. There are two means of access required per the code for emergency access. As of now, what's shown in the red line would be the only one for customers and employees. In the future, the applicant can speak to this. In the future, I believe the applicant hopes to obtain a second access. And that would be in the location, if you see this black line in bold through here, it would straddle the property lines between Angelo's Taverna site and Designs by Sundown serving both properties. But that has not been negotiated at the current time, so staff has evaluated based on this one other alternate access and has determined it meets the code requirements.
Other questions?
Thank you.
Council? Andrea?
Bill.
Councilmember Cole?
Yeah, so what we have says the plan proposes a 100-foot setback along South Santa Fe Drive and includes language that encourages the preservation of mature existing trees. But if you're just encouraging, there's no teeth in that. I mean, is there, where are we going with that? I mean, because I think everybody would love to see trees preserved.
Yes, so the mature trees exist in about the center of the site down towards the south property line. And because of that location, it would be difficult to require them to be saved because it's really, as the site lays out, would be in an area where some of the parking would be located. And what the conversations have been so far between the applicant and our landscape architect have been that it is possible to save some of those mature trees and incorporate them into the parking lot. We've done that elsewhere in the city, and that's the hope that we'll be able to do that again with this property.
So is it possible to have language that would encourage creation of future mature trees, as in trees will be planted, they'll be little bitty right now, but they would then grow and be more compatible with the rest of the area?
Yes, and in fact, the applicant can speak more to what their landscape plan will look like. I believe that the restaurant owner would like very much to have a bucolic setting and invoke countryside as part of the Italian restaurant. And so there's landscaping, as you can see, more than what the code requires on all parts of the site.
Thank you.
Councilmember Beckman first, and then Stallman.
Can you describe for us how the emergency access works? How is access denied when it's not an emergency? How is it obtained when it is emergency?
There are different ways of handling it, and I believe that there will be the use of bollards that will be there, and the fire department will have keys and will be able to remove those in the event of an emergency and be able to access the site. Now, currently, if you've been out to the site, you know that there's a big grade change from Santa Fe down into the property. And that emergency access will be required to be graded such that it meets the requirements of the Public Works Department and their regulations.
Thank you.
Councilmember Stallman.
Andrew, you've got a little bit of information here on the drainage issues. And I remember when we did Breckenridge, there was a fair amount of drainage work that had to be implemented. And I know you said it's sort of in process here. Can you talk a little bit about what the expectations are? Are they intending to sort of tie into the drainage system that BREC has in place? And where exactly is the detention pond likely to be that's going to serve all three properties?
I think probably the architect can speak more to this, but my understanding is that the drainage will stand on its own, will not necessarily be a part of the Breckenridge drainage system.
Okay. And where do you envision that on your map there, or is it too early to tell? Or TBD?
I'm going to say that the architect probably has an idea.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
My one question, because Councilmember Stallman hit on my other one, but with the what you've referred to as the black line yet to be negotiated with
Yes.
Between the property and Design by Sundown, recognizing we have limited opportunities for lights on Santa Fe, that would be typically a right in, right out.
Yes, exactly. It would be a right in, right out. And so employees, customers who are leaving the site who would like to travel south on Santa Fe would have the option to use that, which would be more convenient.
Okay. And then with regard to floodplain and getting back to some of the drainage that was there, recognizing that there hasn't been a recent floodplain determination, any of those requirements that were put on the property as far as Breckenridge and Design by Sundowns basically had that path through essentially the middle of those properties. This property would not be impacted by those requirements. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry we don't have our engineers with us tonight.
Okay, and Andrea, would the applicant like to make part of a presentation anyway?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Justin Freeze. I'm the architect. I've led the project design and the rezoning, and then this is Craig Jones. I'll just add on to what Andrea spoke about, and then Craig would love to tell you a little bit about his business that he's hoping to put on the site. So right now, Angelo's Taverna is a business down in Denver, and Craig's purchased this site. It's known as the Ida property. It's at 6885 South Santa Fe, and it's currently zoned RS. We're requesting PDC zoning, and in the comp plan from 2005, I believe, this was called Sub-Area 9, and it's right in the middle there, right next to the Breckenridge development that was zoned I-1. One of the reasons we're chasing the PDC zoning is because we don't need the size or scope of what the Breckenridge zoning was. And if you look up and down the western side of Santa Fe, there are a lot of PDC zonings. Aspen Grove, all of that development is small-scale commercial development, and that's what we're after. I'm going to jump to this next one. This is a map from the comp plan from 2005. The Breckenridge development is highlighted in red. The Ida property, or the Angelo's Taverna development, is the purple. This was actually targeted as a business park development. It was an opportunity for commercial development. And one of the other major factors in the comp plan and in the city plan was a lot of the residential development was on the east side of Santa Fe, whereas a lot of the commercial retail was on the western side. So we feel this fits nicely with that. These are a couple images from the South Platte corridor plan. The two plans show potential light industrial business parks for the site. The whited out trapezoid area is the, I believe it's Woolhurst, to the north. And so obviously Breckenridge got built in there, so it looks a little bit different. But what we're trying to do is follow these standards, and they've kind of helped guide us on completing this rezoning, along with the Breckenridge Designs by Sundown rezoning and site development plans. The graphic section below is also shows kind of how we've set up our landscaping and our buildings within the PDC for height requirements, height restrictions, and landscaping. The views are to always allow for views of the river and step down from the higher residential across Santa Fe and then to the lower buildings. It drops off from Santa Fe to our site about 18 feet within the first 100 feet. So this is, again, another just graphical map of accessing the site. The stoplight was put in at Brewery Lane, so you'd come in along the red and circular or snake your way down to, it's called Briarwood Avenue, to the northwest portion of the site. Addressing the access off of Santa Fe, there is currently a curb cut in the northwest corner of our site. It's actually just over the property line on the Designs by Sundown site. We've talked to Mr. Hummel, the owner of that lot, and also to CDOT, and we believe there will be an agreement with that. One of the big reasons why is that drive right now is very, very steep. And for safety reasons, whether it's his trucks coming up and down the drive, it needs to be rebuilt. And so in rebuilding it, we believe that we could share that access. The other thing that was set up when Breckenridge and Designs by Sundown was rezoned was a site development plan improvement agreement. And it dictated some terms to the development of our property. The two areas highlighted in red here are areas agreed to for easement access and also for utility access. We've got sanitary sewer and water hookups that we have to run through the other properties that were a part of that development. And so those two areas were agreed upon for access, allowing us to provide access to the stoplight for customers leaving through the northwest corner, and also hopefully to gain access from the northeast access on Santa Fe. If we do achieve that northeast access onto Santa Fe, the emergency drive access would go away. It's in there for now to provide for emergency access. It would be secured by knockdown bollards, and then it would go away upon receiving access off of the northeast corner. Just a couple conceptual images from what we've done with the illustrative site plan. And the building closest to you would be the Angelo's Taverna and Winery. The building in the back was conceptualized as a two-story office building. This is then looking from that northwest access, coming down Briarwood Lane and looking back toward the east, with the office building closest to you and Angelo's Taverna and Winery near the back. And then again, an example or a close-up of the architecture. We did try and complement and follow closely what was going on in the development. The Designs by Sundown building is of similar size and scale. The materials are similar to Breckenridge. So we're trying our best to be a complementary neighbor and fit into that full development using standing seam metal roofs, board and batten siding, and gables and clear stories. And the intent is to have some outdoor dining areas, and the other reason for the PDC zoning is this building would have a winery component. The PDC allows for a small winery of less than 6,000 feet as an accessory use. So a vineyard type of landscaping is intended. One other question that came up that I can address is you mentioned the 100-year floodplain, and the last maps that I have on record show this northwest corner of Breckenridge is where that 100-year floodplain comes in. And that was the last thing that I could find. This site is not within that floodplain, and it steps up higher as you move away from the river. So I believe from a drainage standpoint, we would be out of that. The on-site drainage would be happening back behind the office building. And if any additional is needed, we would look at possibly doing underground, underneath the parking, some on-site storage there. I'm going to hand it over to Craig here and then answer any questions you need.
Thank you, Justin.
Thanks. I'm Craig Jones. I would be the owner-operator of Angelo's, and I've lived in Littleton for the last 15, 16 years. I was a partner with Outback Steakhouse and Highlands Ranch. When Outback treated their partners as true owners, where we were able to actually run that restaurant in our true individuality way. So I'm really excited about bringing a restaurant to Littleton, a restaurant that is different from every single restaurant in Littleton. The restaurant, we meet the owner, we go to your table, we have the autonomy to bring you over a complimentary arancini or a 2-ounce pour of Prosecco, a restaurant where we roll the pasta in-house, homemade red sauce, meatballs, phenomenal sausage, Mama Grace's tiramisu. Mama Grace owned Angelo's for 40 years. We were fortunate enough to buy that from her 2.5 years ago and kind of turned it into where Jack's or a Stoic and Genuine met Angelo's. In return, we became the #1 oyster house in Colorado, a little Italian restaurant selling more oysters per restaurant than any other place, including the Broadmoor Hotel. Between 5,000 and 7,000 oysters a week. We fly them in ocean to plate from Washington, California, New York, Prince Edward Island, etc. It's a great little place that here we are 28 months after our honeymoon period. We're 7 times, that little restaurant is 7 times busier today than it was when we took it over 2.5 years ago. And we're up 30% from our last year's sales. So it's a true neighborhood restaurant where where the neighbors come in, the diversity, little kids, softball teams, all ages feel welcome there. If you look at the Yelp reviews, which most restaurants are afraid to look at, you'll see it. They're the proofs in the pudding there. 28 months of the employees and the owners and managers engaging every single person in our neighborhood. And I think in the back of your packet there, you'll see the commitment that we have with all the neighbors and neighborhood organizations in Wash Park, Capitol Hill.
Council, any questions?
Yes.
Councilmember Valdez.
Thank you. Craig, you said that you purchased the property?
That is correct.
And when did you do that?
We closed on that. Let me try to think of the date there.
Or thereabouts.
About 6 weeks ago, we closed on it.
And that doesn't change the application at all? Because the application has them as not the owner.
Correct. They're the applicant, and now they're the applicant owner.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Any other questions, Council? Councilmember Cole?
Yeah, and I'm sure that it's here staring me in the face, but how are you going to get folks to and from the trail that we'd love to lure?
Man, I'm looking forward to getting with everybody in this room and making that happen, because the bike path from where the office building is, it's a pitching wedge. You know, it's just a short distance, and it's going to take some us getting with Designs by Sundown and just figuring out a way to make it happen. I mean, it's a no-brainer to run and connect there. As far as our neighbors, running through the west red area, we'll have sidewalks that will go from there and connect with Breckenridge. I mean, for this 24 acres to be absolutely perfect for the city of Littleton and everybody that will visit it, you have to have the connectivity. So I'll stand out there with a sign, trying to get people to do whatever it takes to get that connectivity there. It's a no-brainer for...
We might have an ordinance about that, so I don't...
Yeah. Going to be a spinner, huh? Okay.
Whatever we got to do. But it definitely is very important that we connect to the bike path there.
Okay. Council, any other questions?
I guess I'll just touch on that real quick. Throughout, we've had 2 neighborhood meetings, and we've been working a lot with Designs by Sundown. We've asked Designs by Sundown if it's possible to come through the southern edge of his property right here. But that would be, he would have to grant a trail to go there. We've also approached the neighbors to the south. There is a green space in between 2 runs of townhomes right there. But again, they would have to be open to putting a sidewalk there. So currently the only option is going out the parking lot to the northwest and then going up through, it's the main drive between the farmhouse restaurant and the brewery at Breckenridge. You'd have to go up their sidewalk and then go over to Reynolds Landing.
So if you can get what you want to get, how far is it from the light rail station to there?
0.6 miles.
Pardon?
0.6 miles.
Okay, because I'm wanting people to come down on the light rail and just access from that direction.
Right.
I mean, all directions, but including that.
And there is, I just flipped this the screen, there is a trail connection right here that comes into the development. So we would either have to go right there or this green space right there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Craig and Justin. And then, Council, I'm going to take the liberty of, before opening the public hearing, just adding to Andrea's report that this is coming to us with a recommendation for approval through the Planning Board. So with that, I will open the public hearing. We have 3 folks that are registered. 3-minute limitation, please. And I will read the first and the second so that someone knows when they're on deck. And then when we get to the second, I'll read the third as well. So first up is Joyce A. Franklin. Joyce?
Good evening. My name is Joyce Franklin. I live at 2841 West Davies Avenue, which is the very northeast corner of Woolhurst Landing. I also represent the Board of Directors as president, And I have the secretary, Michelle Montgomery, with me for moral support. I have seen all of the development plans that have been shown tonight. I've walked the property with Craig Jones, and I have also talked to the homeowners, some of them, not all of them, that would back up to the adjacent property line. Their comments are they would like to see it remain neutral because of the deer and the hawks and this, that, and all the wildlife, but they also realize that at some point, something's going to be built there. We agreed in talking with them that they would prefer a restaurant similar to what Angelo's is proposed to go on, rather than a grocery store or a gas station or something of that sort, because they think it'll be quieter. The board also feels that Mr. Jones has bent over backwards to accommodate our concerns. And I've worked closely with Craig trying to figure out placement of trees and whatnot so that we can have dust and dirt to a minimum when they start grading. There's a lot of bushes that are sitting on the property line that are dead, and he claims he's going to clean them out, and we're just working very closely. All the trees that he says going to be planted along the property line are decent-sized trees, and we feel that that will keep the noise level down, deter all of the cars and the traffic lights. So the board just feels that Angelo's is a good addition to Littleton, and it was important for us to let you know how the board feels with Wilhurst Landing.
Thank you, Joyce. Michelle Montgomery? Yes. Would you care to address? Okay, thank you. Okay, and the last on the roster is Pam Chadbourne.
Good evening, Council. My name is Pam Chadbourne. I live a block and a half from here in District 1. So when I talked at Planning Board about this, I said that it sounds great. Nice restaurant, office building. I kind of question a 5,000 square foot office building, not very big. But anyway, it sounds super, but the issue is rezoning, whether this rezoning is good for the city or not. And I was told at Planning Board that, and as you heard mentioned tonight, well, the comp plan and the Santa Fe corridor plan said that this site really should be small-scale commercial, so that's what we should do. I'm going to point out that in another issue that was not even proposed for rezoning, because guidance documents and comp plans are not official, they were supposed to be encoded, made into our code, so that would allow this type of development. In that matter, it was not even proposed for rezoning. And note how they're talking about a 100-foot setback from Santa Fe. In this other matter, the setback is negligible. It's on the city right-of-way when it's supposed to be 28 feet back.
Pam, could you keep your comments germane to our rezone request for today?
I think I am. I think it's problematic for you to approve this because it's inconsistent. You are not enforcing our rules the same between different applicants. And there is a behind-the-scenes process going on that the public cannot see, and the code is not being enforced fairly and consistently. I want to point that out to you. I think that we know that it's public that there's litigation in the other matter. So, Council, I think you're in a catch-22 here. To say that one project, one applicant can get away with things, and yet these folks need to come for rezoning and need approval is not consistent. So for your consideration, thanks.
that completes the roster. Would the applicant care to comment?
I believe this fits the city's plans for what they're looking for a rezoning, so I just ask and hope for a yes vote.
Excuse me, can you talk into the microphone,
Yes.
please? Just move it up towards
Oh,
you,
there we
and then
go.
you don't
I
have to bend
apologize.
over. There you go.
I believe this fits the city's vision for rezoning, and I hope to get a yes vote from everybody. So thank you very much for your time.
Council, any discussion or a motion?
You need to close the public hearing, Mayor, please.
Excuse me? Before I talk to Craig, I'm going to go back and close the public hearing, and you've responded, so thank you.
I move to approve on second reading the ordinance approving the rezoning and general plan development plan for Angelo's Taverna.
Second.
Okay, Council, we have a motion and a second. Would the
Who do you want to give the second to, please?
Who wants it?
Me.
Peggy? Okay. Would the mover care to comment first?
I think it's an outstanding project that fits well with the other commercial endeavors in the vicinity, and I think it speaks volumes that the Woolhurst neighborhood is supportive.
Okay. Other comments or discussion, Council? Councilmember Brinkman?
I would agree. I think it'll be a great asset to the community. I like the uniqueness of it also. But I do want to be very conscientious that that boundary there, that it is very well protected. There are residential homes over there, and I do have a concern that there's going to be, you're going to be open late. I don't know, your hours close at 11, midnight. And people will be getting in their cars, and there'll be lights, and there'll be this type of thing. And I think we really need to make a conscious effort that the neighbors are completely undisturbed by that, because that's very important over there. But overall, I think it's a good plan. I think you'll be a welcome part of the community. Thank you.
Other comments, Council? And I'll note, as set forth in the ordinance, as to the sections of the Littleton City Code and conformance with the comp plan is included as far as the detail is concerned. I do appreciate that the restaurant is actually set back further from the residential property and gives at least the potential for some protection or at least some space relative to the residential. And so I do appreciate the site design, at least as we're looking at it so far. And I know that there's additional details to be worked out with regard trail access and such, and figured that at least the folks from the neighbors are pleased with the communication that's occurred so far, and hopefully that will be encouraged going forward. So thank you, Michelle and Joyce, for your comments. Council, any additional comments? Okay, seeing none, ready to vote?
The vote is 7 in favor. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Council. Okay. With that, we now move to public comment. This is an opportunity for folks to come forward, and I realize that this is more of a general comment period. We do have a roster sheet that was located at the table of the entrance to the council chamber. As we go through the roster, I again will, good catch, I will again read those, and we can move forward. So we have one individual, Pam Chadbourne.
I'm Pam Chadbourne, and I still live a block and a half from here. So tonight is the Leonid meteor shower, and if clouds permit after midnight to dawn, you'll be able to see meteors, which is kind of cool. My pitch here is something that I'm going to bring up occasionally, forever until you do it, and that's the model lighting ordinance. The model lighting ordinance that we had in effect for 10 years was repealed a few years ago. And it's a poor thing for the city to do, especially at a time of growth. Downward directed full cutoff lighting protects neighbors, is safer for police, it's better for witnesses in terms of crime, it's better for crime deterrence, and it's creates a more livable community, which is everything that we talk about. So by repealing the MLO-based lighting ordinance, we fly in the face of the goals and objectives we claim to want. So, Council, I want you to, at some point, tell staff to reinvigorate that model lighting ordinance. And what it does is cut down on glare so that neighbors are not bothered by light from other people's lighting fixtures. That doesn't hurt anyone's freedom, because there's lots of lighting fixtures that comply with that. You can choose a lot of different things. In addition, the city's street lights are, on Main Street, horrible, glary, acorn-type luminaires, which spray light in all directions. When I spoke about this a few years ago, I showed a picture from Mount Evans, and you can actually see where Littleton is from the glare. This is not something to be proud of. This is something to be ashamed of and to fix. So we need to and the lighting ordinance is different from our streetlights. So both of those, Council, I want to put forward to your consideration. It would be far better if all of us could walk out tonight and look up into a fairly darker sky and try to see the meteors. So thanks for your thoughts.
Thank you, Pam, for your concern. And that completes the public comment. Thank you. With that, we'll move on to reports. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me start with street lighting. So we're in the process of working with Excel to put some caps in the acorns so that they are downlit. So we've been working on that, and not exactly sure what the status of that is, but we'll get that information to you. But it's been in process for all the acorn lights downtown, as well as future expanded ones. All right, on to the manager's minute. We'll keep it short because I know we have other items on the agenda. Staff met with Historic Downtown Littleton Merchants Association last week. I know it's been a concern for the council, our relationship with the downtown merchants. So we are breaking their issues and concerns up, and we've met with them related to events for 2016. So we worked through the agenda. Great meeting. They're very enthusiastic. I'm going to be attending their board meetings, so we have direct communication between the city manager and the city and the board of directors for the downtown merchants. And then our communication staff is going to be meeting later in 2016, to have better coordination, even better coordination for the 2017 events. So rebuilding that, and I think it's going smoothly. LPD, Littleton Police Department, is now fully staffed for the first time, I think, in Chief Stevens' tenure. And that means for all of those here that will be driving home, our traffic unit is fully staffed. And there are a bunch of new rookies who are excited to test out our electronic ticketing system. So keep an eye out for lights in your rear view. And the speed limit signs, which you can probably see from our lighting system, as I heard. Communication staff is working with Tri-County Health Department on a public education campaign regarding the council's new ordinance for the downtown smoking restrictions, which takes effect January 1. So we'll be doing an outreach in partnership with Tri-County. We had a kickoff meeting yesterday at regarding the Mineral Avenue Light Rail Station Master Plan. Look for public outreach beginning in January of 2016 on that project. Our museum, which councils, I believe, is aware, has been accredited since 1972, just completed its reaccreditation with the American Alliance of Museums, and we'll find out next year. I'm sure we did pass all the tests, but we'll find out next year for sure. Candlelight Walk is next Friday. We've got some awesome new things going on, some new surprises for the crowd, things we've never done before, new and improved. So we hope everyone will plan to come out. It should be a fantastic and great event, fun for all ages. We're hoping we'll get people out there earlier, and then they will stay after Santa completes his trip down the lane. Elf Crawl is next Saturday, the 28th, and we have already sold more than 400 tickets. It's going to be limited to 500, so if people want to participate in the 9 establishments The elf crawl and drinking will occur. So on a Saturday night. So we've got another 100 tickets available. We had a nice note from a individual looking to locate a cafe in Littleton to the economic development staff saying you are all an amazing source of ideas, connections, and general encouragement. And then finally, our communications staff, we've got a little short video here for you. So we've been working on aerial footage over Littleton for a variety of uses for a couple years. So over a 3-day period in mid-August, we hired a commercially licensed drone operator, of which Chief Armstrong is very jealous because he wants a drone for the fire department.
Two.
The answer is still no.
No.
Both times.
And they're not getting four firemen on a truck either. So, but thanks for asking. Sorry. We shot a 4K resolution, so those of you who have 4K televisions can enjoy that. Still video and video, excuse me. This 2-minute piece we put together is from dozens of hours of footage. We call it Littleton, A Fresh Perspective, and it's been on social media and already had over 7,000 views, and so we thought you would enjoy a short version of it. So here you go. So I just say a pretty incredible community that we've chosen to call home. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Michael. Now on to the council member reports. Councilmember Cole.
Only one thing. The last of the 3 leaf recyclings, we had 294 vehicles of leaves, and some of those vehicles had leaves inside, in the trunk, and pulling huge long trailers, whatever, and almost all of them said, we got a lot of leaves, haven't come down yet. So I already said last time, I think the expectation is next year at least one of the 3 weekends will be later to get the leaves that resist right now. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Stallman.
I attended the Fire Partners Oversight Committee meeting on the 10th of November, and representatives of the Highlands Ranch Metro District Board and the Littleton Fire Protection District Board, as well as Chief Armstrong, were in attendance. Principal issues discussed were some technical parameters regarding the care car operations and the pending new Trailmark fire station. But it was good discussion all around, and that's all I've got.
Thank you. Councilmember Valdez.
The only item I have tonight is I just want to thank Mr. Stallman, for your years of service. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Brinkman?
No comment. No
Councilmember Hopping?
No report.
Mayor Pro Tem Beckman?
I just want to compliment the folks who work in the streets department, and I'm sure other emergency services folks made it through what was really a blizzard this morning, and then fortunately it cleared up, but they were out there working, and a lot of times we don't recognize that, so thanks to them.
And a couple comments that I wanted to make. One is I'm sure most everyone has seen the news as to what happened in Paris over the last week, and I think it's an absolute atrocity in actually attacking people and individuals, sports venues and restaurants and the such, and so it was pretty tough to watch. The Mayor Pro Tem and I attended the National League of Cities Congress. It was interesting at the annual meeting, so Council, we can kind of joke a little bit about this. President of the National League of Cities, Mayor Becker from Salt Lake City, struggled as folks were making motions to amend a yet-to-be motion. And so it was a very tumultuous occasion. And I'll be putting together at least some information with regard to sessions that I attended. But a couple that were particularly of interest is an emphasis on financial literacy, elements of digital inclusion, also how to regulate home sharing, which is some of the issues that we have, and that's in the context of Airbnb, as well as numbers of adults that are unrelated and how to deal with that. And so those were good. Last Friday, the Economic Development Group from the Chamber had the Southeast Partnership presentation, and some of it was rather dry, and Lynn Myers took us through that. But then what was interesting is Oz Architecture with their client Merrick taking on a redesign of Mankato Bay, the station that's down in Antarctica, and what they're looking to do with that. And so it's very interesting. Last Wednesday was Transit Alliance training, which has been conducted in anticipation of the public hearings around TOD plans for Mineral and downtown Littleton. Was very well attended. I believe as we looked around the table, there was not an empty seat. So it was very good, and folks were pretty excited to be involved in the process. And so with that, I'll conclude my remarks. Now I'm going to look for everyone that's a guest here to give us some tolerance. We have someone that's seated at the dais who has decided not to continue with our display of tremendous expertise up here. And so I'm going to turn it over to the city manager first to get us started on this, but we're going to be slightly distracted as we go through this.
Solomon, if you could join me down there.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Your bow tie. No.
Excellent.
I don't think so. Nothing more.
So Councilman Stallman likes to wear bow ties, and you'll find in meetings he likes to twirl on occasion. So. It doesn't stay on. Yeah, thanks. So Councilmember Stallman was on the council when I was hired 4 years ago, and it has been an absolute honor to work with you. He and I have not always agreed on a variety of issues, but he's always brought a level of humor along with the intensity of evaluation of the issues that are there. I have definitely cringed when you've dove into the weeds. Can you say nutrients, EPA? And one of the things that we've loved about, and you're going to see a little bit of this about Councilmember Stallman, is some of his vernacular and some of the words that he uses. So I think everyone's familiar with a word map. So we did a word map. This is from the city staff to you. I'll give you a minute. So I'll just read off a couple of the words in here. Actually, why don't you read off a couple of the words?
Oh, let's see here.
It sounds better coming.
Yeah, ever popular. Ping me, that's always pleasant.
He loves ping me.
Ping me is good. Kudos, let's see.
Market intelligence, one of our favorites.
Often imitated, never duplicated. We like that one. Somewhere in here's got to be people helping people, isn't it? Yeah. Hypothetically ought to be in here too.
I believe they are. Some of it's in yellow, so it's a little hard to read. So
that's awesome.
So this is from the city staff, and it has truly been an honor to work with you. I have appreciated your integrity and the intensity by which you have taken the oath of office and carried it out. So thank you very much. I do hope you continue to be involved. I see Kelly. No.
I can't see you.
Hold on.
Vis-a-vis has to be on there.
These are for your better half.
Hey.
This is just the beginning, so we'll turn it back over to our mayor. So, thanks.
Hey, Frank. Not going to be able to tell us apart.
Couldn't before. We had some name mix-ups earlier. So, friend, it's been a wonderful 6-year journey, and I know I'm going to miss you. And for everyone else, a man of integrity, absolute compassion, wonderful. Perseverance, knowing what we've gone through and some of the journey that's there. And it's also very rare for someone who went through an election and was not elected, then to come back for the same kind of pain in doing that. So my hat is tipped off to you. My standard always in working with Bruce was we didn't always agree. We saw some things differently. And it was often one of those things where we would go through a wonderful discussion. And I knew that I kind of hit the pinnacle of something that hit a chord for Bruce to possibly be in a position to reconsider some of his thinking, which he listened very well. Okay, and he would do that. And I would love to have erected a street sign right in your front yard, but the city doesn't currently have an easement for that. So maybe something we can work out.
Guess he's close.
I'm going to let you undo that because I don't know how to do that. But at the time that we would get to the point of Bruce would actually say, hey, you maybe have said something that he considers to be meaningful in that, it would be fair point, well presented.
Well presented. Stallman. Yeah, vis-a-vis. Yeah.
And so when we get to that.
That's good. That's good. All right.
Thank you, sir.
That was an odd hug. What was that all about?
So now I'll let you be subjected to any other comments or such that council would care to come down and share. So. How could I not?
No, that was great. Yeah, no, exactly.
Well, I'll keep it short because I'm going to get all teary if I don't. The one thing I can share without getting verklempt is that you've never been short of words. And you've never been shy about repeating those words. Now you don't even have to say them.
Oh, okay. All right.
There's one for the cold weather and one for the warm weather.
What is it? What is it?
With the bow tie.
Hypothetically speaking, under ideal laboratory conditions.
All right. Oh, yeah.
At a t-shirt.
All right.
Council, would anyone else care to come down and have some fun at Bruce's expense? I mean, so with that, sir, you don't even have to go back up there, but I know you left some stuff. We're supposed to turn it back?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have So one of Councilman Stallman's loves, I think, while he's been on council has been the fire department. He has been the rep for our fire partners, and the staff, again, have very much appreciated, as well as the district and the ranch, your participation. And so I've asked Chief Armstrong to come down and present you on behalf, again, of the full city staff, but specifically the fire department. We've got a bunch of our finest here. And I'm going to let the chief take it from here.
Thank you. I'm going to use this microphone. So it's been almost 2 years since Michael and the council gave me an opportunity to step in as fire chief in Littleton. And I didn't really understand the magnitude of the challenges that we've faced.
I told him.
Part of it being...
There's one thing being told, there's another of understanding.
Yeah.
We are working on that.
That's very true. Part of it actually being, the situation with the city and the fire partners. And while it's, I think, very strong and an excellent partnership, it does require a little different take from my perspective than I was used to. Making presentations to council and budget presentations to the boards that we serve as well for their emergency services. And one of the things that really helped get me through it was the fact that I knew you were standing behind me and supported me and the department and our men and women, and that was really important for us. You've been a true advocate of our fire department and our members. You've been a great support for us. You've helped us move our organization further than I ever anticipated in the short period of time that we've been here. And the thank you really goes to all the council, but especially to you, Bruce, for your participation in the review committee. So on behalf of the men and women of Littleton and myself, we wanted to present you with a small token of our appreciation. And it's not just an Office Depot bag, I promise.
Oh, whoa. Oh, all right. That's good.
What we have here is a authentic fire department helmet, and it's on a stand with a badge and our logo on the side, and it says, presented to Bruce Stallman in grateful appreciation of your support of the Littleton Fire Rescue Department, serving with pride and honor. And I got to tell you, I was a little nervous when I saw the helmet that said Fire Chief Stallman on it. I thought my time was up and somebody forgot to tell me. But anyway, again, thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
And Bruce, now you are welcome to make a few comments.
You have 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Yeah, set the clock.
Set it.
Very good. Okay. This will be a challenge. The one thing I think is painfully obvious at this point is that it's absolutely official. We have partially debruced city council. So you're going to have to carry on and make sure it doesn't get completely debruced. I was talking with Dennis Reynolds, former Mayor Dennis Reynolds, a week or so ago, and I asked him, how he coped with his tenure ending and moving on, and he said it was never about sitting up there passing ordinances. It was always about the people. And when it comes to the ordinance side of it, I always felt that with great mustache came great responsibility. And, I tried to take it seriously, but it truly was about people helping people. And I absolutely want to thank many of the citizens that I've had an opportunity to interact with, who dearly love the community. It was a privilege and an honor to be able to serve you in this capacity. I have deep and abiding respect for the staff across the board. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I've worked in a number of organizations, and the staff for the city of Littleton are as strong, as competent, as take as much pride in their work for this community as any organization I've ever been involved with, and it's been a pleasure to work with you, and don't stop believing. You guys are awesome, and keep doing the great jobs you do. My affection for you guys is unbounded. It's been wonderful. We all are so different sitting on the dais, and yet in many respects we're all very much the same in terms of why we're doing it and what's behind our willingness to participate in this way. It's been an honor making sausage with you. And then lastly, I would be remiss if I didn't tell my better half that she deserves mass quantities of expensive jewelry for putting up with this stuff for all the years and under some extraordinary circumstances. So thank you, and I love you. I've got 15 seconds left. And with that, I will say Auf Wiedersehen, which translates from German not as goodbye, but until we meet again.
Yes. Bruce, if you can take your seat for our last vote. Council looking for a motion now to move into our next element of business for the evening, which is to deal with the selection of the mayor and the mayor pro tem. The first of that will be for a selection, or at least a motion and support for a temporary chair for the council, and then there'll be a swearing in, and then there'll be the opportunity for the selection of mayor and mayor pro tem. So looking for a motion to appoint the city clerk as the temporary chairperson.
So move.
Second.
Okay, council, we have a motion and a second. A vote up appoints Wendy Hefner, the city clerk, as the temporary chair.
The vote is 7 in favor. The motion carries unanimously.
Okay, we'll now take a moment to adjourn while the city clerk gets set. And Bruce, you end up being excused only for the moment, though.
All right. All right. Thanks, guys. Hey, we'll see you on front porch. All right. Exactly.
I call to order at 7:43 p.m. the Littleton City Council meeting of November 17, 2015 for administration of the oaths of office to newly elected council members and election of mayor and mayor pro tem. I'm going to give you a summary of the procedures here for tonight. We're going to have Judge Feldman will administer the oath individually to the newly elected council members. After the new council takes their seats, I will call the roll. I will then call for nominations for mayor, not a motion, but nominations. This action does not require a second. After all nominations are accepted, I will offer the floor to each nominee to provide a brief statement if they so choose. After all statements have been made, I will ask for a motion to appoint a nominee as mayor for a 2-year term. A second is required and then a vote. Then this process will end when a nominee receives a majority of the city council vote. I will use the same process for mayor pro tem. Judge Feldman, will you please come down to the dais? And council members who need to be sworn in, please come down and wait right here until Judge Feldman calls you.
Should I go now? Oops, sorry.
That's fine.
Or if I can stand.
Or you can stand there.
I'll stand here.
Have them stand here.
Sounds good. Ms. Brinkman, please. Please raise your right hand. I, and state your name, please.
I, Debbie Brinkman,
Do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
the Charter and ordinances of the City of Littleton,
the Charter and ordinances of the City of Littleton,
and will faithfully perform
and will faithfully perform
the duties of District 6 Council Member
the duties of District 4 Council Member.
I only read.
It's that whole lighting thing.
I don't think you have that power, Judge, to create extra districts.
District 4 Council Member, upon which I am about to enter.
Upon which I am about to enter.
We don't even have a District 6, do we? Congratulations. Six. Clark. Mr. Clark, please raise your right hand. I, and state your name.
I, Doug Clark,
Do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
the Charter and ordinances of the City of Littleton,
the Charter and ordinances of the City of Littleton,
and will faithfully perform
and will faithfully perform
the duties of at-large council member
the duties of at-large council member,
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations. Yeah. Cool. Raise your right hand, and I, please state your name.
I, Peggy Cole,
Do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
the Constitution,
Charter and ordinances of the City of Littleton,
the Charter and ordinances of the City of Littleton,
and will faithfully perform
and will faithfully perform
the duties of at-large council member
the duties of at-large council member,
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations. Shopping. Raise your right hand, and I do solemnly affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
the Charter and ordinances of the City of Littleton,
the Charter and ordinances of the City of Littleton,
and will faithfully perform the duties
and will faithfully perform the duties
of District 1 Council Member
of District 1 Council Member,
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Bring it on. Meet you up back.
Mr. Valdez.
Judge, good to see you.
As always, nice to see you.
Not that we see each other all the time.
Not all the time. But in the meanwhile,
Yeah.
I, and please state your name,
I, Jerry Valdez,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
the Charter and ordinances of the City of Littleton,
the Charter and ordinances of the City of Littleton,
and will faithfully perform the duties
and will faithfully perform the duties
of District 2 Council
of
Member
District 2 Council Member,
upon which I am about to enter.
on which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you all for the honor of administering the oath.
Appreciate it, Judge.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I would now like to make a call for nominations for.
Take the roll.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. See? Good job. Okay, now I'll do the roll call. Councilmember Beckman.
Here.
Councilmember Brinkman.
Here.
Councilmember Sunanek.
Present.
Councilmember Clark.
Here.
Councilmember Cole.
Here.
Councilmember Hopping.
Here.
Councilmember Valdez.
Present.
Okay, now we'll move forward to the election of the mayor. This is a call for nominations for mayor, not a motion, but a nomination.
Madam Clerk, I'd like to nominate Mr. Bruce Beckman for mayor.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, I'll close the nominations, and I'd like to provide the floor to nominee Beckman to provide a brief statement if you so choose to do.
I do choose to. Thank you. And thank you for the nomination to be mayor. You know, I love Littleton. I've been part of the Littleton area and the Littleton family for 40 years. My wife Susan and I have raised our family here. Susan and our children, Jesse and Mallory, are here tonight. I know it is council's responsibility to provide the leadership that keeps the city working and our quality services continuing. I will work with the council and the community to do that. I will work together with council to accomplish the people's business, meet the future challenges, and protect what is important to us and what matters in our community. I will provide council members with the respect that they deserve and ensure that each one has the opportunity to represent those that elected them. I ask each of you for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now may I please have a motion to approve Councilmember Beckman as mayor for a 2-year term?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion, please. I'd like to make a motion that for Mr. Bruce Beckman for mayor of City of Littleton.
Second.
Trying to do a lot of things at once. Okay, I'm calling for the vote. Oh, is there any discussion? I'm calling for the vote.
You might want to note.
You can go ahead and use Councilmember Stallman's voting mechanism. We just can't. You have to take the thing down to change your name up there. But I got you down here.
We're not doing it for you, Doug. The switch is the same. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay. The vote is 7 in favor. The motion carries unanimously. Okay, now I'd like to call for nominations for Mayor Pro Tem. This is not a motion, but not a motion, but a nomination.
I have a nomination. Okay. I nominate Debbie Brinkman for Mayor Pro Tem.
Any other nominations? Okay, I'll close the nominations. The floor is open to nominee Brinkman if she would like to make a statement.
Thank you. Well, it would be an honor to serve as the pro tem for the council, and it would be a pleasure to serve with Councilmember Beckman. I've enjoyed our working relationship over the years, and I think that we would have a great balance between each other and serve the council and serve the community well. I've enjoyed my term on council. Grateful to be elected for a third term. Look forward to continuing to move Littleton forward and do all the great things that we've started and keep things going, and excited to start working with this new council and see where we go. Thank you.
Okay, a motion, please.
I move to appoint Councilmember Debbie Brinkman as the Mayor Pro Tem for a 2-year period.
And I'm proud to second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, please vote. The vote is 6 in favor, with Councilmember Clark voting no. The motion carries 6-1. Congratulations, Mayor Beckman and Pro Tem Mayor Brinkman. I said that backwards. Okay, now I'm going to hand the meeting over to Mayor Beckman, and he can adjourn the meeting.
Do we have any further business? The meeting is adjourned.
Right.